Yo, welcome to Music is a Day Job. I'm your host, Sean, and Music is a Day Job is brought to you by the Concert app. The Concert app is an artist accelerator app that takes artists from opener to headliner to on tour and gives the fan the best experience in independent live music. Now, today's topic is the hardest part of being an independent artist. And a young artist asked me about this because they're kind of in a spot where they're trying to decide if they want to go towards like getting a deal or if they want to stick with being independent artists. And I always say it's three things that are the hardest things, but these are the things you need to know so you can actually be successful as an independent artist. The three things that are the hardest thing for people, because a lot of people think it's the actual making the music and stuff like that, and that's not the truth. That should be the cherry on top. Like making good music and everything. I feel like an artist that really wants to take this as serious, they probably know how to make pretty decent music or whatever their fans enjoy, and they understand how to replicate that at a rate that they can tell their story and build their brand and stuff like that, which is the fun part because that's what we love to do. But the three things that I say that some people get caught into are these three things: consistency, creativity, and belief. Now, the consistency is probably, to me, what I would say. Well, I wouldn't say this is the hardest part, but this is one of the pieces that I've struggled with at multiple times in my past career, everything like that. The consistency of everything. So like this would become the consistency of content. This is the consistency of doing shows. This is the consistency of actually creating music, and then the consistency of building your brand and understanding all those parts, and also the consistency of finding consumers. So within that consistency, you're doing four different things all the time, and it's never like there's never a day off. Like you can always find fans. Every time you're outside, you're finding fans. Every time you're at a show, you're finding fans. Every time you're online, you're finding fans, and that becomes your routine. So it's like the consistency to get up and do this all day. I was actually talking about this the other day. Is at points, even with my career, like the consistency of me putting out content and doing the videos became like, because I set such a bar for myself a long time ago, like around 2000, like I think 10 or 11, I shot and released, like I shot myself because we figured out how to use cameras ourselves and everything like that. So I shot 40 music videos for myself within like a year span for me and my group. And I set that bar for myself because I needed to make a name for myself. I needed to have something that nobody else had at that time, and like people didn't have music videos like that. So when I did that, replicating that in the future, when you start getting involved in other things, like for instance shows, doing a lot of shows and doing a lot of other things, I was at that point, I was like building with a lot of sponsors. It becomes hard for you to consistently do that, release that content like that all the time. And I would catch myself in a space where I just didn't feel like doing it. Like after I did everything else, I didn't feel like doing it. Like now, currently, like I still release music, of course, because I'll always love music. But like I try to catch myself into the consistency outside of building concert. Like how could I release more music? Like how could I release more music videos and stuff like that? Like I catch myself in that space, and it's like that consistency is what is going to help you. Because while tons of people, like because of people's attention span, they fall off real fast. And no matter how dope you are, if you're not consistently in front of the consumer's eye, the person that's consistently in front of them is what they remember. Because this game is what have you done for me lately, which it sucks, but that's the truth. It's what have you done for me lately. So the consistency always has to run. So even with shows, as I said in a prior episode, you have to do consistent shows. Now, of course, as I told people, you need to have a blueprint with those. So you're not just doing consistent shows just to do consistent shows. Because as I told you, I see people that just go to a promoter or like a random promoter and do a show with random promoters. And it's like, well, what's the consistency of this? Because they're not building consistency for you. They're just building a show to make some money. So it's like they're building a show to make some money. So whoever does the numbers, they're going to book again. And then you don't know when they're going to book again. So that's why we, of course, use Concert, because you want that consistency. So you have multiple shows and the chance to get on multiple. And if you're working, you figure out ways to get to touring and stuff like that. The next thing is creativity. Always understand how to think out of the box creative wise. So you may have a format to what you believe is your level of creativity, but understand that creativity can expand further by understanding things outside of what you've created as your comfortability box. That's one side of this. The other side of creativity has to be taking that out of the music and putting it inside of your business side. So then, like, as I always tell people in past videos, the creativity of how you find fans. So, like, as I said, like one time I told the story about the Tinder thing where we just swiped everybody on Tinder, and like everybody who responded, we had them come to a show, and that's what we did. Or being online and like being creative with the content outside of what you make as music. Like tons of different ways to be creative, to be like, okay, well, this, because I don't have money at the rate of what a record label has. A record label can do those things where they can just put money on things and then get the advertisement they need. You have to be creative. You have to be in a different space, the same way you're in a different space to create your music. You have to be like, for instance, like we've had put tickets at sponsors, like get a sponsor and be like, okay, we're going to put the tickets in your store and all our fans is going to come to your store to get the ticket. Like being creative like that level of creativity has to stay all the time. And so that gets you tired. Like these are the things that are, you know what I'm saying, like the hardest parts. And now with the hardest part to me, which I'll say that I see, like my hardest part personally, and this is why I said this earlier, is like the consistency piece. That was always my piece that I struggled with, even though I was pretty good at it. I've done a lot of videos, I've done a lot of shows, and to the outside, people may think like, well, he's done tons of shows and he's toured and he's done it himself. Like the part about it is you have to make them all work at the same time. And sometimes I would catch myself only working on one, and I'd have like tons of shows, but I wasn't making any music. Or I was making tons of music, but I wasn't out getting my sponsors. And at different times I excelled, and that's what held me over so I could be successful in what I call successful in the music industry, or, you know, being able to live off music. But this is the one I feel is the hardest part for the majority of people. And that's the belief. I watch people get online, and if it isn't going their way, they're done making music. And it can just be life things getting in the way. And if you want it to, you have to hold it at the same place you hold your regular day job. When life gets in the way, we don't just quit our job. And that's the belief that you see the light at the other side of the tunnel. And every day you wake up and say, hey, we're going to get to it. You know, like the belief that there is a possibility that you could succeed. And that's why, as I say, that's why we built Concert, is because we feel that this gives a better chance of you seeing the light on the other end. If you could see a blueprint or a step-by-step way to get yourself to like making music a day job, then that makes it easier to see the light. Like there was no blueprint for when I was like, yo, I have to get to this money. Like I'm just sitting there like trying to make it up as I'm going. Like I'm like, I have to do 10 shows here, and then I need to release music to keep people happy. I need to like I'm just making it up. Like, but then I'm trying to give people a blueprint, so where the only thing they have to make up is like how much music they're releasing and content. But you can get the shows and figure out where you're at monetarily based off of how many fans you have. So, but that belief to be in that idea to be like, yo, I got to get up and get it. That's something you have to believe. It doesn't matter what any of your supporters or anybody says. I've watched dudes with the most supporters fall off, and just because of like other issues outside, like who they're dating and stuff like that. I've watched that happen. I watched people that don't have that many fans fall off because they're not figuring it out. And so it's like, you have to believe. So everyone else can believe you're the dopest in the world, but if you don't believe that you can actually push through this, doesn't matter. Like, you have to believe you can be successful at this. And I think a lot of people, that's where their like downfall sometimes comes, is that they don't believe in themselves. And that's probably one of the, like, that's the probably biggest thing I see, as like, as much as they can say, and you can see their ego in their music and stuff like that, they don't actually believe they can turn it over. And when they see the amount of work that this actually is, a lot of times this changes very fast. Like, I watch artists get into it, and when you see, like, I watch top-notch artists in their independent artists, like in their city, they are popping. They actually do numbers. They go outside to another city. I talked about this in the Superstar Effect and stuff like that, and figure out they have to start from ground zero and get the fans again like they used to. They don't want to do it. And part of it is ego, and part of it is like, you just don't believe in yourself. You don't know if you can replicate it. So you have to be able to believe that you can go back out and do this as many times as you need to do it. So those are the hardest parts of being an independent artist: consistency, the creativity, and belief in yourself. Those are the three that I would say. Someone else might say something different, but that's what I would say to that. This has been Music as a Day Job. Once again, as I tell everyone, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We are over 1,000 subscribers now, so thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. That's so dope that we've gotten this far. Hasn't even been a year of us doing this, and we've gotten this far. So definitely go download the app, the Concert app with the Q, Concert, and get on the app. On the app, we are in different states. Right now, we currently have 7 events in, we have events in 7 different states. We have multiple events in tons of different states, but we have 7 states with events in them currently. Some of them are Q2s, which are conferences we do where we talk about this music as a day job thing. And so if that's in your city or your state, make sure you RSVP on the app. If we have shows, make sure you start getting on the shows and getting slots. If we're not in your city or we're not in your state, then start getting people on there, because the more people we can see on there from your area, that shows the demand that you need to get out there. So you tell all your other artist friends and everything like that, definitely get on there. If you know any venues, this is everybody. If you know any venues, even in the states we're in, send them to us so we can get into those venues and we can start putting on these shows, so then people can have the chance to make music into a day job. Once again, this has been Music as a Day Job. I'm your host, Sean, and this is brought to you by the Concert app.